Here then, let's go through a rundown of the basic operation of the Face Factory setup. We shall, of course, as we go through the beta, do more videos on specific bits and pieces or changes as they occur. But we're going to start out here with just the basic operation of the whole setup. So we start by needing to create a base for our new face. So we hit Start New Face and we get this pop-up asking for a character name, and there we get the basic element created like that. Now you can of course create multiple faces. Let me just shove that to one side and I'll hit Start Face again and you see I get some additional face. So of course, if you've got a character with two heads or two faces or something, that's perfectly allowable. Once you have that, you select of course the main root here that we have. Choose the parts that you want. So maybe you want to include or disinclude certain areas. You can set certain things, which is usually the number of bones along a string. And then when you're happy with all of your selections, you can hit the good old build face structure and it will build these selected structures. And simply put, there you have it. Position the markers into your mesh and hit rig fit like this. Of course, you can just swap in and out of rigging and fitting mode. Now, it's not the case that you have to make all of your choices to start with. You can actually build this up piecemeal if you want. So in this case, I've omitted the nasolabial fold and I've also omitted a midline to the cheek section there. If I set this up and decide that I want to add that on, you can just check those in, hit build structures again, and what you will see happens is that the necessary parts get added. You'll notice of course you get these connection elements that connect up between things. Those will be built in as they are needed. As such, if you are unsure for a given character rig, just how much stuff you are actually wanting to have for, the amount of whatever that you've got in there, then you can start out by just adding, some of the most basic structures, work up and start adding on other ones as you decide you need them, and it will all connect itself up for you nicely. Of course, you can see that's just building a face rig by itself. Most of the time you'd probably be wanting to attach it to some, manner of full character rig. Now the procedure for this is no different depending on whichever type of rig you might happen to have. In this case we've got the Rigit Bodybuilder character. One specific thing I'll say about this at the present time, this is at the beginning of the beta, is if you're using Rigit Bodybuilder, then for the moment don't let the rig include any jaw parts or eye parts that have been generated in Bodybuilder. At the minute that still causes a bit of a conflict with the Face Factory, and so there's still a bit of work to be done throughout the beta making sure that these two systems operate together properly. That said, all you need to do for any rig is to select the part that the face is going to be a child of. Often that'll be the head, but it doesn't have to be. You could, stick a face on the end of an arm or something. The one thing that it does need to know, of course, is it needs to know the end of any chain. For instance, we've got a head controller here on this guy, but rigs can vary, right? It might just be that you're animating a single bone for the head. You might have some kind of null setup. You might have some sort of setup that switches the head between, local and world space, FKIK. You sort of need to be able to tell Face Factory where, the end of all of that is. So it's not the case that you move the head controller but the face stays in place because it's not in the correct place in the hierarchy. So the way that we do this, and this is for all rig types, is we take the bone that is actually deforming the head. Because no matter what kind of controller setup we have, at some point that control has to fall onto the deform bone that is actually deforming the head of the mesh. So we can select that, hit Start New Face, and bingo, our face root part appears there for us and we continue building. Notice of course here with Bodybuilder I didn't get the naming pop up. That's because Face Factory recognises that we are on a Bodybuilder rig and assumes the same name. One last thing to keep in mind when using Bodybuilder is just at the present time, make sure that you have finished the body rig first. You build in your face structure, You can, of course, rig and fit it without issue. That works just fine. So that's all good. But if you try and rig fit the body just for the minute, that'll start to cause conflict. So if you are attaching faces to bodybuilder rigs, make sure that you have finished the body before you add the face. Again, as we work through beta, that's something that we'll figure to make sure that these two operate together seamlessly. Of course, as we said, this does work fine with other stuff too, so if you've got some non-Rigit rigs, such as here a Genoma rig, but the same thing if you've brought something in from FBX or built your own rig, then in exactly the same way, you just identify the bone that is actually deforming the head, presuming, of course, that's the bone you want to attach the face to. Hit Start New Face, again, because this isn't Bodybuilder, you get the character name pop up, and of course, as you can see, it generates the face base there for you, and you can go ahead and build. And there you go, you get a face rig nicely and properly attached to your character there, which you can just rig and fit to get it all as you need it. So there we go, that is the basic starter workings of the Rigit Face Factory Auto Rigger. Have a play with that, have a look at some of the other videos, of course, that detail some of the particular parts. And of course, remember to let me know during this open beta period of your observations, comments and bugs so that we can get this thing really rocking.